Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. This $quarter coin in my hand right here may look completely ordinary at first glance, but what if I told you that coins just like this have sold for thousands, even tens of thousands of dollars to serious collectors around the world? Today, we are diving into the fascinating world of rare United States quarters, starting with one of the most talked about coins in history, the legendary Washington Quarter series, or now most people see a Washington quarter and think it is just pocket change, something you spend without a second thought. But hidden within this series are rare dates, minting errors, and special variations that can turn an ordinary-looking coin into a life-changing discovery. Take a closer look at the details on the coin. The year, the mint mark, the condition, every tiny feature matters. A small difference that most people would ignore can be exactly what collectors are searching for. For example, certain quarters minted in specific years or struck with unusual errors have become some of the most valuable coins ever discovered in circulation. These are the coins that collectors compete for, sometimes paying shocking prices just to own one. And here is the most exciting part. Many of these valuable coins were not discovered in museums or treasure vaults. They were found in everyday places: old jars, piggy banks, inherited collections, and even loose change. So before you spend your next quarter, take a moment and really look at it, because as we begin this countdown, you might just realize that something incredibly valuable has been sitting right in front of you all along. Let us move to number 5 on our list, where things start to get truly interesting. Ladies and gentlemen, let's slow things down for a moment and take a closer look at a coin that almost everyone has seen, but very few people truly understand: the 1978 Washington Quarter. At first glance, the 1978 quarter might seem completely ordinary. It is not ancient, it is not made of silver, and it does not immediately stand out as rare. Millions of these coins were produced by the United States Mint, and they circulated widely across the country. For most people, this coin is just another piece of loose change. But what if I told you that some 1978 quarters are anything but ordinary? Now here is where things start to get exciting. When we talk about colorful 1978 quarters, we are not talking about coins that were painted or altered artificially. We are talking about naturally toned coins. Coins that have developed stunning colors over time due to chemical reactions with the environment. These colors can range from deep blues and purples to fiery reds, golden hues, and even rainbow-like patterns. And here is the key detail. Collectors absolutely love this kind of natural toning. Over time, as coins sit in albums, envelopes, bankrolls, or even old drawers, they react with air, moisture, and trace elements like sulfur. This process creates a thin layer on the surface of the coin, producing what collectors call toning. And when that toning forms in a beautiful, vibrant way, the value of the coin can increase dramatically. Imagine holding a simple 1978 quarter that suddenly shines with electric blue edges, golden centers, and hints of magenta flowing across the surface. That is not just a coin anymore. That becomes a collectible piece of art. But here is something very important you need to understand. Not all toned coins are valuable. In fact, most toned coins are still worth only face value. The difference comes down to quality, eye appeal, and authenticity. Natural toning is usually smooth, layered, and evenly blended. Artificial toning, on the other hand, often looks unnatural, too bright or patchy in a way that does not match how real. Aging occurs. Serious collectors can easily tell the difference, and artificially colored coins usually have little to no added value. Now let's talk about mint marks, because this is another crucial factor for 1978 quarters. The 1978 Washington quarter was minted in 3 locations: Philadelphia with no mint mark, Denver with a D mint mark, San Francisco with an S mint mark. Coins from San Francisco Mint are especially interesting because many of them were produced as proof coins. Proof coins are struck with special dyes and polished surfaces, giving them a mirror-like background and frosted details. When these proof coins develop natural toning over time, the colors can become absolutely breathtaking. A tone-proof 1978 quarter with strong rainbow coloration and deep contrast can be worth far more than a regular circulation coin. In some cases, depending on condition and eye appeal, collectors have paid significant premiums just for the beauty of the toning alone. Condition is everything. A heavily worn 1978 quarter, even with some color, will not carry the same value as a coin in near perfect condition. Collectors look for sharp details, clean surfaces, and minimal damage. Coins graded at higher levels, especially those certified by professional grading services, can command much higher prices. Now let me tell you something that might surprise you. Some of the most beautiful toned coins were discovered completely by accident. People have opened old coin albums after decades and found that their ordinary quarters had transformed into vibrant, colorful treasures. Others have found them in rolls from banks or inherited collections passed down through generations. This means one thing: there is still a chance. Right now, somewhere in your home, in a jar, a drawer, or an old box, there could be a 1978 quarter slowly developing incredible color without you even realizing it. So, what should you do? Start checking your coins carefully. Look at them under good lighting. Tilt them and observe how the colors change. Pay attention to coins with unusual hues or rainbow effects, and most importantly, do not clean them. Cleaning a coin can instantly destroy its value. Even a beautifully toned coin can lose most of its worth if it has been cleaned improperly. As we continue this journey through valuable quarters, remember this: not all treasure shines like gold or silver. Sometimes it hides in color, in detail, and in the smallest things we overlook every day. And that simple 1978 quarter you almost ignored might just be more valuable than you ever imagined. The 1965 Washington quarter. But not just any 1965 quarter. We are talking about the so-called black Washington quarter. Now, when most people hear this, they assume the coin has been painted, burned, or damaged. And yes, in many cases, that is true, but not always. Because in the world of coin collecting, a naturally darker black-toned coin can actually be something very special. Let's go back to 1965 for a moment. This was a historic year in American coinage. It marked a major transition when the United States stopped producing quarters with 90% silver and moved to a copper-nickel-clad composition. That means the 1965 quarter was one of the very first of its kind, a completely new type of coin for circulation. And with that change came something unexpected. Different metal composition, different reactions over time, and completely unique toning patterns. Now here is where the black appearance comes in. Over decades, certain 1965 quarters have developed very deep, dark toning, sometimes appearing charcoal gray, deep brown, or even nearly black. This happens because of long-term exposure to air, humidity, and environmental elements. But here is the key detail. Not all dark coins are valuable. In fact, many black-looking coins are simply damaged, corroded, or chemically altered. These are usually worth only face value. So what makes a black 1965 quarter valuable? It comes down to three critical factors. First, authenticity of toning bias. Natural dark toning often has a smooth, even appearance. It may show subtle variations under light, hints of blue, violet, or deep gold beneath the dark surface. Artificially darkened coins usually look flat, dull, or uneven. Second, surface preservation. Even if a coin is dark, collectors still want to see clean surfaces underneath. Heavy scratches, pitting, or corrosion will reduce value significantly. Third, eye appeal. This might surprise you, but even a dark coin can be beautiful. Some black-toned coins have a rich, glossy look, almost like polished stone. When light hits them at the right angle, hidden colors can appear beneath the surface, and that is what collectors pay for. Now let's take this a step further. Some 1965 quarters were accidentally struck on leftover silver planchets from 1964. These are extremely rare transitional errors, and they are among the most valuable coins in the entire Washington Quarter series. Imagine finding a 1965 quarter that is actually made of silver. That is the kind of discovery that can change everything. These error coins can sell for thousands of dollars depending on their condition and authenticity. So how can you check? Here is a simple trick. Look at the edge of the coin. A normal 1965 quarter will show a copper-colored stripe along the edge because of its clad composition, but a silver version will have a solid silver-colored edge with no copper visible. That one small detail could mean the difference between a common coin and a rare treasure. Now let us return to the black tone versions. Some of these coins have been found in old collections, storage boxes, or environments where they were exposed to specific conditions for decades. And when those conditions are just right, the result is a deep, natural toning that collectors find fascinating. But remember this: cleaning or trying to improve a dark coin can destroy its value instantly. Many people make this mistake. They see a dark coin and try to polish it, and in doing so, they remove the very thing that could have made it valuable. So if you ever find a 1965 quarter that looks unusual, especially one with deep dark toning, do not clean it. Do not alter it. Just examine it carefully, because hidden within that dark surface could be a story, a rare condition, or even a highly valuable error. As we get closer to the number one coin on this list, one thing should be very clear. Value does not always come from what shines the brightest. Sometimes it comes from what others overlook, and that dark, mysterious 1965 quarter might just be one of those hidden treasures waiting to be discovered. And now, we are getting dangerously close to the number one spot. But before we reveal it, you need to see this. Because the 1973 Washington quarter might be one of the most overlooked, underestimated, and shockingly valuable coins hiding in plain sight. At first glance, the 1973 quarter looks completely normal. Nothing flashy, no silver content, no obvious rarity. Just another coin that people have been spending for decades without a second thought. And that is exactly why it is so dangerous. Because when a coin looks ordinary, nobody pays attention. And when nobody pays attention, rare variations slip through unnoticed. Let's break this down. The 1973 quarter was minted in 3 locations: Philadelphia with no mint mark, Denver with a D mint mark, and San Francisco with an S mint mark. Now here is where things begin to get interesting. Coins from the San Francisco Mint were often struck as proof coins, made with extra care, polished dies, and special preparation. These coins were never meant for everyday circulation, but somehow, over time, some of these coins escape their original sets. And when they do, they enter circulation unnoticed. Imagine that, a proof coin, with mirror-like surfaces floating around in everyday change. Most people would never even recognize it. Now let's talk about condition, because this is where the 1973 quarter can become truly shocking. Coins are graded on a scale, and the higher the grade, the more valuable the coin becomes. A heavily worn 1973 quarter is worth face value, but a coin in near perfect condition, with sharp details, strong luster, and minimal marks, can be worth far more than you would ever expect. And here is the part that surprises most people. Some 1973 quarters in extremely high grades, especially those with exceptional surfaces, have sold for hundreds, even thousands of dollars. Yes, a coin that millions of people ignored suddenly becomes a collector's prize, but we are not done yet, because the real excitement comes from errors and unusual features. And this is where things can get truly unbelievable. There are 1973 quarters with striking errors, off-center designs, double strikes, clipped planches, and other mint mistakes that make each coin completely unique. These are not just coins. These are one-of-a-kind pieces, and collectors love uniqueness. The more unusual the error, the more dramatic the appearance, the higher the potential value. Now let me tell you something that might completely change how you look at your coins. Some people have found valuable error coins in pocket change, not in auctions, not in collections, but in everyday circulation. That means right now, at this very moment. A rare 1973 quarter could still be out there, passing from hand to hand, waiting for someone who knows what to look for. Now let's talk about luster again, because this is something you cannot fake easily. A high-quality 1973 quarter will have that original mint shine, that cartwheel effect that moves as you tilt the coin. If you see that, pay attention, because that is often a sign the coin has been well preserved. Now combine that with sharp strike, clean surfaces, possible toning, or even a mint error, and suddenly, you are not holding just another quarter. You are holding something collectors might fight over. And here's the most shocking truth of all. Most of these valuable coins were never meant to be rare. They became rare because of small differences, tiny mistakes, and the passage of time. That is it. That is it. Nothing magical. Just details that most people ignore. So the next time you see a 1973 quarter, do not rush, do not assume, do not spend it immediately. Look at it, study it, turn it under the light, because hidden inside that ordinary-looking coin could be a surprising value, a collector's dream, or even a small fortune hiding in plain sight.